January 12th, 2026, first episode of the new year. We are coming in on January 13th. To those listening on Spotify or Apple, thank you so much for choosing to listen to us. We have a jam-filled, packed episode today of Maddie here out in St. Louis. How are you doing today?
So amazing. I am still buzzing from our conversation with Tommy Scoops.
We did have the GOAT, the legend Tom Scoops Boger on, who, friend of the podcast, I think this was his third or fourth time on. We have him on, I think, once a year. Sometimes in the summer, we'll get him on if we've had a crazy off season and we just want to hear a little bit of his insight. Fortunately, we haven't had that in the summer window last year that warranted him coming on, but we wanted to get him on this off season, and we haven't had a lot of moves to talk about, but it was more talking about how he views RSL as a market, how he views what RSL could do without obviously just saying go sign some DPS, because that's the answer for a lot of teams is make good signings and good things will happen. But yeah, I mean the two quotes that I took from that were Mastroeni is a wizard. I mean, the people around the league are still high on Mastroeni. I know RSL fan base is pretty flipped, and I am flipped, it feels like every other day with how I feel, but he is still thought of very highly from around the league. And then the other one was RSL is not technically doing the least. And you'll have to go and listen to that interview to be able to understand what that means. But that will be at the end of this episode. We're predicting it now. Maddie, what time will that be at?
30 minutes from now.
30 minutes. Oh, I'm going to go 45. I think we're going to find a way to go longer than we think we need to. But
Well,
we'll
it
have to
depends
see.
on if we have to start by telling everybody that you buried the lead. And the most important quote that Tom provided was when he gave advice on how to settle bets and whether dollars should be mailed or Apple paid. But we're
That
not
is
going to
true.
tell you what he said. I'll tell you that when Tom spoke, Hayden and I both thought he was taking our sides, but he made it very clear eventually. Who is correct? You'll have to listen to find out.
It is very true. We also had David, our new producer, on that one, who decided to be a little bit shy that time. No, David just likes to sometimes be able to sit in and watch, and he'll be in on more episodes coming up. He's not able to join us tonight. And then our dearest friend, LD, is having to help a friend move. He's being a good friend in Miami. When you live in Miami, I guess it makes you a good friend. And that's what he's doing. So he's being a good friend out there. He was a last second absence tonight. Otherwise, we would have him here. So sad about that, but we will get him back soon. Go ahead, Maddie.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What soccer podcasts do you listen to? I don't know if religiously is still the word I'm supposed to say. What do you listen to every week that you would recommend to our audience?
Soccer wise is not even just trying to be like, oh, Tom was on. No, that's the actively only one I listen to. I don't listen to any other soccer ones because the MLS ones, they don't talk about RSL like at all, but also B, they're just not like the ones that are just MLS, they're not interesting enough. There is actually MLS Gone Wild. I really like theirs. I wouldn't say that it's like religiously. Tectonic Takes, which we have them on almost every matchup. They are a fantastic San Jose one. But of course, I'm not going to listen to them every week because you're not a San Jose listener over here. So there's Voices of Black and Gold for LAFC. We Are Austin TV for Austin. There's definitely quite a few that I like for when we're like prepping to play other teams. Charlotte has a ton of them. I think Austin probably has the most podcasts in the league, like just on a team by team basis. They've got a disgusting amount of podcasts. St. Louis has a disgusting amount as well. But there's nothing that I would say that I go every single week, other than maybe soccer wise.
So Soccer Wise did an episode recently, within the last week, and we talk about it when Tom is on earlier this afternoon, which you and the audience will be hearing later. They did an episode with David Goss, Matt Doyle, and Bobby Warshaw, and they talked about Pablo specifically and what a good coach he is and how hard it is to consistently make the playoffs in this league that's designed for parity, but how hard it is to do it every single year. And also they talk about how little tactics matter at a coaching level, which everybody always bags on Pablo about tactics. And I'm tired of dying on that hill because technically he could outthink all of us. But they talked about how important the component is of building a team that stays together, which is exactly what Pablo does.
Right.
So I feel like people who don't like Pablo Mastroeni or who don't rate Pablo Mastroeni, nothing I do is going to convince them to give him another chance. And people that do like him, I guess we're all just waiting for him to prove that our faith is misplaced, which he hasn't done yet. So I'm not willing to have the conversation again other than what I just said. Go back and listen to SoccerWise if you think I'm so far off on this and see what they say.
Well, basically, I mean, when it comes to Pablo, I think you're either like with him and you're not going to leave, or you're against him and you're not going to be convinced to go back with him. I think that it's pretty polarizing at this point because you either believe in the mentality aspect or you believe in the tactical aspect. And again, it just kind of depends on where you think tactics matter from the head coach's perspective. If you ask Celtic, they had one of the most tactically good managers out there from MLS, and then they fired him within a month. So kind of just after 1 month.
33 days.
33 days. He did last.
Longer than even a lunar month.
Very barely there. But kind of just depends. So I feel like the Pablo conversation is just like, if he's here, then he's here. And I don't think that I will 100% be out on him unless the locker room turns against him, because if that's his big thing where it's like, I hold the locker room together, I am that kind of mentality coach, I don't think that's necessarily a dock on him not being the tactics coach, as long as you have the tactics coaches around you. If you look at any sport, I think there are so many sports where the head coach is not just some genius. It is someone that can bring these guys together, make the players work with the coaches, because I think that's an underrated part of this. If you're just a pure tactics coach, you're going to tell a player that they have to do something they're not going to want to do. If it's coming from the head coach, the head guy, might not work all the best all the time. So it's good to be able to spread that around with your assistants, I think. And Pablo, I mean, he's here. He's the guy. So it's not, I think RSL has staked their claim in saying we're not just going to fire him. So it's kind of, if we start winning, then we start winning. And if we don't, then, I mean, fans will start to look at other options. But it's just, I don't think anything's going to change.
Well, we're going to have to win without some players that we have gotten used to seeing in the Claret and Cobalt. But before we talk about them, let's start this off on a positive note with a huge tip of the cap and a congratulations to Monarchs head coach Mark Lowry, who recently got his pro license. Could not be happier. Any of you who listen all the time know how highly I rate this gentleman, both as a person and as a coach. And I hope that we lock him down and he stays here forever.
Yeah, very big congratulations. So with that, let's just jump over to the roster news. I don't know. I can't remember when the last time we recorded was, so I can't remember if we talked about Brian Vera, but Brian Vera has been traded to Montreal. Big move for Montreal. They spent a decent amount of money to get the center back. At the time, Vera was the most, I think it was top 3 most expensive center backs in MLS history, just trades interleague. And then Glesnes, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, broke it again. So one of the most expensive transfers for center backs. I think it's a really solid move for Montreal, where they get a 25, 26-year-old guy who I really think he's solid. I'm going to be sad to see him go, and RSL is going to have to replace him with someone who I believe is not on the roster. I don't think we have the replacement on roster, and I hope that we can get that in the coming days and weeks. Again, this is January 12th. The first day of preseason where players officially started training was today. So it started. We don't have a nearly full roster yet. In fact, I'll share my screen here and we'll go over what our roster is. Now, Maddie, when you see the colors and everything here, keep in mind this is just based off of, can you see my screen okay?
It's pretty small. Make it bigger, Hayden.
All right. Well, I don't think anyone else is on, so it's just me and you, and I don't know how to make this any bigger right now. But I'm just sharing a spreadsheet. I've shared it online a couple of times. I don't have the GAM numbers updated. past September 18th, we have more than 2.18 or 2.11, I guess, $1 million in GAM. I just don't know the exact number, but we do have more since we've had a couple transfers of players. Don't have that exact number again. I'm trying to go best off. When we look at this formation, I go with the 4-2-2-2, which is what we played a lot of last season. I really don't think this is what we will play this season with the moves out. So don't worry so much about formation. That will change as we kind of see this preseason get started, especially when we go to Portugal and we start seeing how they're playing players and the formations that they're taking there. We can change the formations and everything there. So don't get too caught up on that. The only elite player I have on the roster right now is our goalkeeper, Cabral. Elite, I determined as top 5 in your position. Not top 5 in your age group, not top 5, because I really wanted to put Luna there. In fact, I did have him in elite for a while, and then I decided it was my heart speaking. When I look at statistics and just what the other guys are doing in that left wing 10, any really attacking position outside of the 9, which he can play, the things that they're doing are just out of this world. And he's a tier below that, maybe 2 tiers below that. So very, very high level starter. And I have a Nelly as a very high level starter as well. He can go up to elite if he can get back to that 2024 form. 2025, he of course dealt with injuries, made it so it wasn't his best year in an RSL uniform, I would say, but doesn't make him not have that potential for elite. So the colors can change very easily. Maddie, what? I can't see your face, so you're just gonna have to tell me what problems you have with my roster.
You didn't have Luna as elite?
I did have him as elite. I
Okay,
changed
you
it
didn't
to
you
high
didn't
level.
keep him there. And what I would suggest to the people who are saying like, oh well, he had an off year, add in the goals and assists that he scored with the U.S. men's national team, and he's back into the elite level. Also,
And
don't forget that the first four matches he was playing with that mask on his face, and as soon as he took it off, he broke out.
and here's the thing as well with Diego, it's not so much about I don't think he had a good year. I wouldn't even put him at high level starter unless I thought he had a really good year. It's just when I was looking more at the goals and assists column of the other attacking players, again, not the 9s. I really tried to take those players out, but more of those wingers or 10s. There is a clear tier 1 where there was 30 goals plus assists among those, and even if you add in his United States time, he's not getting close to those numbers. And again, and that's not necessarily bad on him. He's 21. I think him being a very high level starter, fringe elite, he can very much change that color to light blue elite player within 2 or 3 games. It's just I decided to go stats over heart for that because Luna is my favorite player, one of my favorite RSL players. So we did end up taking out Cruz. This is very recent. We should talk about Ojeda as well. As you can see, our midfield is showing up a little bit empty. We did officially sign Griff Dillon as well. So I should put him in here as unproven at MLS level. But moving off of Cruz, I think it's probably the biggest move of the offseason up to this point in terms of I'm going to stop sharing my screen here so we can talk about this better. It's the biggest move in terms of you free up a DP spot. You only have 6 DP/U22 spots. Those are the most important roster spots. And having someone that you're not confident that you're going to have past the summer taking up those spots feels like a waste of 6 months. So I'm really happy that we're able to get off of that now. I'm very frustrated that we ended up wasting anything at all. In the summer, I know that it's like no harm, no foul, especially since the loan fee, I mean, it wasn't ever officially reported other than it wasn't bad. So that's basically all that was ever said is the loan fee's not bad. It really was extremely low risk, and you could see if he had potential, and he got a good chewing out after a playoff game from Pablo in the public, which if you know Pablo, he doesn't really point out things like that from people very often. And after that, it kind of really felt like it was going to be pretty tough for him to earn his way back. He is now going to be moved out. I believe they said Starts with a B. Was it a Belgium country that he's going to? That's being reported from Brazil.
I saw it and I immediately didn't care. It's like Ludogorets or something like that.
Yeah, something. But
So what happened
big
in the
news for
playoff
Arsenal.
game was Vera was lining up a free kick, and Cruz, just had one of those, hey, no one's ever thought of doing this, ran around behind the wall and then tackled it. So Vera hits this banger free kick goal, and then it comes back on VAR because Cruz interfered with the wall. And Pablo was just flabbergasted slash dumbfounded. Yeah, probably. I think even Ron would say it was not his best moment. But the flip side to that is for all the obvious talent that was there, for those of us that got a chance to watch him in training, for the obvious passes that he saw when he was on the field. I think for most people, that's very good side quest. You ran through a wall for the club. I appreciate that. I guess I should put on the chat so I can read these comments. I think that the takeaway that everyone's going to remember is when he missed the penalty kick.
Yeah,
The one time he stood up to a penalty kick. And all I want to say on that again, and then I'm going to get completely off of VAR because the season's not going, so it's silly to complain about the referees. But the goalie was off his line. And players from the opposing team were in the box before he struck the ball. There's two reasons why that penalty kick should have been retaken. One, other than hitting both posts and having the ball somehow bounce out, he did sit the goalie down on his butt. So his run-up was effective. There was just a lot of bad luck after that. So sorry to see him go. I'm curious to see what he could have done. But if the team's ready to move on and bring us two DPs, bring in another DP, I'm not going to complain about it.
well, and with him, it's frustrating because he's one of the worst signings for Botafogo in their history. They have been talking about it endlessly, and he is. I mean, obviously, we didn't pay a lot for him, but if you just look at the players that took up a DP, one of our worst DPs we've had. So frustrating, but at least you listen. If you're gonna fail, fail fast. That's the motto I like to live by. If you're gonna try something and it doesn't work, cut your losses fast, and they did that. So as much as I'm frustrated that we swung and missed, at least we didn't, have 16 at bats trying to figure out if we were going to swing and miss on this guy. So happy
it's
about
the
that.
frustration of a high variance player, right?
Yeah.
And the frustrating part is that high variance means you don't know what you're going to get. A low variance player might not excite you, but you
Right.
know what you're going to get every week.
Sure.
So for me, I think a middle ground for those two types of players, a middle ground for that player is Victor Olatunji. He might not be at his peak, but it doesn't matter. You still have to account for him because the ball could go in off his knee. He gets to the right place. He's a physical mismatch against almost any center back in the league. So it's almost like you got to have two guys on him. If RSL were to add some more speed to complement Gozo, man, we'd have something.
So let's talk not about Gozo, but about the guy that he put on the bench and got loaned out. Dominic Marchuk, our other U22. He's at preseason. It was that was one of the big question marks going into this offseason is what do you do with Dominic? Are you going to A, loan him out, B, sell him, or C, bring him back? Any of those options I could have very much seen. If you move him, you open up a U22 spot. If you don't, then you can see what you have. Now, the question is if you bring him back, where does he play? Having a U22 guy stashed on the bench is pretty tough. And Gozo, I don't think, is leaving that starting lineup anytime soon if he can help it. He's going to be fighting tooth and nail to be able to keep that spot. Now, I think we mentioned that we believe that there's going to be a formation change. I mean, if you just look at this roster, it doesn't make sense to have the formation that we had in the past. And we'll have to wait and see for these games to really understand what it's going to be. Is he going to have, that kind of right wing back role a little bit with Yedlin? I mean, he did that with Cincinnati and he did okay. Not good enough for Cincinnati to say, yeah, we'll take the buy option on him, but he did okay. He was a short-term replacement that got minutes with them. Got playoff minutes too. So he was an option at that position. If he's not more of an attacking player with Gozo, I just hope that we can find a way to utilize him in a starting position, or move him. I hate seeing the U22 guys stashed on the bench. I don't know that that's the best utilization of that tag. Ari Piol, that's another one where I would love to see either A, loan him out, or B, just I don't know if you can get rid of the tag, but it's not like their salaries are big enough that you absolutely need that salary tag, for to manage your salary cap. So I would love to actually bring in some more influential player or players at those positions, because right now our top six most important roster spots are being very poorly utilized. You have Diogo, who that's the biggest question mark going into the offseason is will he leave? And it wasn't really will he leave, it's just can RSL do it? And so far he hasn't been moved. He's been very, very disappointing, for RSL. I would still assume that's a top priority, getting him moved. We haven't seen any pictures of him in preseason. He was on the preseason roster, unlike Cruz, but we didn't see any pictures. So, not sure how he's doing. We did see a picture of Dominic, so that's how I feel a little bit better that Dominic will actually, be there a little bit more long term, and it's still in the plans for 2026. And then Luna is obviously the best utilization of our U22 spot. He's really the only one that is making it, very good utilization. Other than that, you have Nelson Palacio, who's on loan, but that U22 spot is open, and he does turn 25, so he can only maintain that spot throughout this year anyways. So even if he somehow comes back, which I mean, with the moving off of Ojeda, I'd be very happy. I've been Switzerland, Swiss language. Is that what is it Swiss? Doesn't translate to English too well with all the translate apps. So I've been like trying to see what they're saying. From what I gather, he's doing really well in Zurich. The fans really seem to like him. He's just got a recent injury, and they don't really know how he's going to come out of that.
Yeah, he was doing well until he got injured. So
Yeah, and the FotMob app says he's green. They gave him they give him good ratings, so that's all I can really base it off. Zurich isn't playing on any TV channels that any Americans have, so unless you're really trying really, really hard to go and watch a loaned player, it's going to be difficult to get too much on him. Ojeda, has been moved out to Ojeda on a permanent deal. I think this one was pretty sad for me. It wasn't as much shocking that he was moved. I was shocked that he was moved inside MLS. I really thought if he was going to move, he was actually going to have another shot at Europe, especially with the World Cup coming up. I feel like his situation was a little bit different from Diego, where Diego seems to really get good amount of playing time with the United States, and Ojeda always gets called up but doesn't really get that playing time. So I thought he might go, somewhere where, he might get a little bit more respect for the Paraguay national team. I don't think, Orlando was all that different, but I do think his role with Orlando is going to be crazy good. I think that's a fantastic move for Orlando. I don't think their fans understand how good, the two Ojedas are going to be out there, especially pushing to their very good attack. Ojeda, I think, has always been a better offensive eight, than helping in defense. So as long as their defense can be solid, that team's going to be pretty nasty with the attack, especially with Ojeda being able to work, with the other Ojeda as their 10.
well, as I was sorry to see Brian Vera go, I am very sorry to see Brian Ojeda go.
Mm-hmm.
It also turned into a position where even excluding Palacio, you've got a lot of guys for two spots. And I think that with the contracts being what they were, I mean, Anelli is still on a pretty friendly team contract. And I know everybody keeps bringing up these rumors that he's leaving. He's under team control until 2029. So I expect
Yeah.
I expect him to stay with RSL until Europe calls with a big number. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that coming. I highly rate Anelli, and I don't really care who disagrees with me on that. I've gotten into arguments with national writers about it at U.S. camps because they're like, "Oh, well, he couldn't do this," and I'm like, he's never been asked to do that. So on the national level, Pochettino favors midfielders that progress the ball into the final third, and that's not what Emeka does under RSL's system up to now.
Right.
What the tactical shift is going to be now that, congratulations, Ant Pulis, friend of the podcast, has been promoted to whatever the most glorified assistant is with Pablo. Ant's got that job. If you want to watch it, I'm sure we posted the interview I did with him at the Monarchs game that day. What an absolutely fascinating coach to talk to. So congratulations to Ant. I guess we should just congratulate all the coaches as we go, right? Congratulations to Jamal on being promoted from the Monarchs to RSL. Very happy for him as well. But I think that you look at those midfield spots, and even with Palacio, you got so many players for so many spots. If somebody's going to give you some roster mechanism cash to make new signings, then somebody had to go.
Yep. And I mean, I don't know with Ojeda. I think it does come down to he did seem to really want a new contract. So moving him, you have a lot of midfielders, and you're already committed to two of them, pretty long term, and pretty pricey long term as well. And Ruiz is pretty hard to move with his injury history, and that contract is pretty big. So if you had to move someone, Ojeda was probably the easiest to move because he is on a team-friendly deal, and a different team can renegotiate that contract if they want. But they can decide to either do that or just let him go for free. RSL decided to get some value for him while they could. So pretty unfortunate there. But Ojeda moved on. Pretty sad about that. We'll have to see how he does with Orlando. That leaves the midfield with our live chat. That's funny. That leaves the midfield with Caliscan, Ruiz, and Anelli. And then, of course, we brought in Griffin Dillon as well, who I think he's really, if he's not ready now, I don't know when he will be. I think he's ready to start contributing some minutes. David, it's a shame he's not here with us. He's been the most Dillon guy I've known for, Maddie, you say this, he's always talking about Dillon to the point where I'm like, it is insane. You and him can fight it out and duke it to see who's his biggest fan. But I think David might win that one. He is a very big Dillon guy. Captain of the Monarchs last year. I think that he's, very close to being able to get those minutes, and hopefully he can get those minutes. I think out of the 3 additions that they made to the roster from the homegrown spot, I think he's the one that's most ready to contribute now.
I think this is the one that I texted you and the homegrown signings were like tagged onto the end of an RSL release about something else.
Right.
And everybody was talking about the other thing. And I'm like, guys, did you read it all the way through? We locked up Griffin Dillon. I've been petrified all off season that we were going to lose him to another club. But I guess that's only for San Jose to do. Oh, snap. I said
San Jose is struggling keeping their academy guys. RSL keeps on taking advantage of their academy being poor. We already had Diego Luna, we had Fidel Barajas, and now we have Chance Cowell, younger brother of Chase Cowell. We're going to talk about the other brother pretty soon here.
Of who? The younger brother of who?
Cade Cowell. Did I say Chance Cowell again? Did I say?
You said Chase.
Chase.
You're inventing family members.
I mean, there's probably, I think there's a decent chance there's a Chase in that Cowell family, but we get the younger brother.
That would be the name, yeah.
And I've always been told that the younger brother is always better than the older brother. I don't know if that's actually true in this one, but feels true in a lot of the ones. You have the brothers in Philadelphia. Why am I blanking on the young prodigy's name?
Sullivan?
Yep. He's apparently better than his older brother.
Dude, don't say it like you couldn't have been talking about Aronson.
Aronson as well? Well, I don't know. I like my Leeds guy. He had a nice game the other day. 2 goals.
All I'm saying is when Brendan was coming up and I was at all those youth camps down in Florida, every single coach that I talked to about Aronson said, wait till you see his brother.
Paxton's now with Colorado on an $8 million deal. Crazy money that Colorado decided to spend on him. But we got, Chance Cowell. We're taking a chance on him, and hopefully we can get something. I don't think that this is something where you'll see him necessarily contribute right away. He's 17, hasn't appeared in MLS yet. He started less than half the games for the Town last year. So when I talk to the San Jose people, I mean, it's mainly the tectonic takes guys. They say we don't really know what you have, but your track record is good with our academy players. So we'll just have to see. I don't. It's not something that I'm necessarily super excited over, but it's also because I don't get excited until they start making their move with the first team. Whereas Maddie and David, they like to see the future. I'm not very good at looking ahead past next match, and that's what's going to be tough.
Well, what's amazing about Tectonic Takes is that they knew about the players that we had signed from San Jose. If I never told this story on the air, I will tell you that when I was in San Jose a couple years ago and Diego Luna hit that 35 or 40-yard left-footed rocket to win the match for RSL, and the camera showed an entire section in the stands that were all holding Luna signs, people were coming up to me in the press box like, why are there so many RSL fans here? And I'm like, well, they're not exactly. And they're like, well, why are there so many Luna signs? I'm like, you guys know that he's from here, right?
This is his home. Yeah.
It's important to me that you know that we got him in a roundabout way from you. And I mean, I got looks like, what are you talking about? So, yeah, we'll keep mining the San Jose Academy as long as they keep wanting to give us their players.
Well,
was it Fidel that we had to end up? I think we ended up having to pay Toronto to get Fidel here.
Fidel was San Jose as well.
Right, but we had to pay Toronto.
Really?
One of those three guys, I thought it was Fidel. Like, for some reason, we ended up having to pay, like, discovery rights or homegrown rights or something like that.
Oh, no, I know Fidel was definitely homegrown rights to San Jose. I don't know this Toronto you speak of, but I do know that we have. I know for one thing, apparently they're willing to spend $18 million on a player, which is wild. Hopefully that works out for them. But RSL acquires Zach Booth on a loan. They were from Dutch side Excelsior. He's been injured for a little bit. I don't know how bad this injury is. I don't know if he's getting close to being available for preseason, but he has been injured. Before that injury, he was playing in the first division of the Dutch league, which it's a solid league. His team was a team fighting to stay in the Dutch league, so it's not like he was on a world-beating team, but he was a contributing player. Maddie, was it Toronto that we played?
Yeah, we paid $50,000 in general allocation money and our number 17 waiver position to Toronto because Toronto had the number 1 position in the waiver order. Boom. My stupid esoteric memory is undefeated. I should have bet you another $1.
I would not have bet another $1 on that one. If you're bringing that one up out of the blue, I would assume that you have it right. So wouldn't bet you $1 on that one. But Booth, he has 4 goals, 2 assists. He has 52 professional matches. He split them with Excelsior and then FC Volendam, who is in the second division of the Dutch league. I don't think he has any goals or assists with Excelsior, but overall, it seems like he's a good developing player. He's 21. I think Booth will be a contributor as soon as he is healthy. Again, that's the biggest thing that I don't know how healthy he is, how much he's going to be able to contribute day one. But I do think he is going to be fighting for depth minutes from the beginning. It is just a loan. MLS loans always have purchase options. So we'll be able to see if we want to purchase him. I would assume the transfer fee is not insanely high, as he hasn't really done anything crazy. His older brother is Taylor Booth, and he has had a fantastic career so far. He's had his name chanted. It's actually been pretty cool to watch because both of them are Utah products. It's always really cool when you see these Utah products and Booth coming back home. He's an RSL Academy product, and then he went to Leicester City for his later days in the academy. Maddie, are you just surprised I knew how to say that?
Very much so.
Yeah, especially with the club that I've been struggling to say. It doesn't really make too much sense, but he's had a good young career so far. Coming back to the United States, I think he will be able to make a contribution. I think it'll be fighting Wolf for those minutes, which good luck fighting him because Wolf, I mean, he's a fighter for those depth minutes, and the coaching staff really likes him. Also a very young player. When you look at our wingers, we have a lot of good young wingers that want minutes. You have Gozo and Diego, who are definitely the two, those guys have lockdown minutes. But then you have a bunch of guys who are really hungry. Zambrano is coming up more as a 9. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Right. You have Zambrano who's coming up, and he's going crazy with his youth teams and then with the Monarchs as well. You have Berea, who's, again, that's more of an attacking 9, who, if you put him on the Monarchs, he's going to be your golden boot leader. Herzakani has been very solid as well, and is coming up. So you have a lot of good options at the wing spots. It's just that they're all really young, mainly unproven. I would love if we got a veteran guy in there, similar to Chang, someone that is able to really help that young attacking group, especially on the wing. So I'd love if we have that addition coming in.
I'm just excited to see some signings.
Some signings would be cool.
Yeah, rumblings are we'll see some soon. And I'm excited to be able to talk about things without being like, what was I told on the record? What was I told off the record?
Yeah, I mean, signings
I'll say that I've
be
been
fun.
I basically turned off Twitter a couple weeks ago because my entire inbox is, hey, do you think RSL is going to sign anybody today? What do you think about this guy? What do you think about that guy? I heard a rumor that we're getting this guy. It's time now. We're going to start seeing the signings, and I just preach patience and remember that they can't announce it until they're allowed to announce it. Doesn't mean they're not working on something.
I would definitely hope that signings start getting announced, especially as we're going to preseason. If we can have a couple before they leave to Portugal and meet the team in Portugal, that would be fantastic. Getting these guys with the team, I mean, they preach how important a preseason is. This is the window that if you want guys here for a preseason, you got to get them here early. This window does last all the way until April, so this is a very long window, but this is not one that you want to wait on. Teams around the league are going pretty hard right now. MLS is a league that really, there's teams that are very obviously showing their ambition, and then there's teams willing to just wait, and we have to see what RSL and this new ownership group is willing to do. And this window, I think, is probably the first fair window where it's like, okay, you know what your team needs are. The summer window was still a little bit tough because they were still so new. This one, you're approaching that year mark as new ownership, and I feel like you should have a pretty good knowledge of the players, B, the coaches, C, the front office of what you can do. So I really hope that we start to see new ownership go pretty hard with this window, and we start to see some players start to see some cash thrown around. Not the cash thrown around as in Toronto where you're spending a bunch of money with no success. I do think that Sargent will be very different. I actually am very excited for that move. I think that'll be hopefully very good for them. I mean, the last time they decided to spend a bunch of money on the Italians and it didn't work out so well.
I mean, we got a lot of great content from it.
We did. At Atlanta, they decided that they wanted to spend a lot of money and then not do anything as well. So they also kind of did that same thing. Spending money doesn't necessarily equal you'll be awesome right away, but not spending money, it's a bit harder to be awesome. So you have to take your shots.
Has the Josh Sargent one gone official?
Not official. It's that Tom actually reported it today again that they have submitted the offer. Sargent is very interested, and it's not finalized yet, but working to get there. And then English clubs have basically been saying that there's other like Premier League interest as well. So we'll have to see.
All I know is today his coach threw him under the bus like for no reason at all.
Really?
Yeah, his coach came out today in a media session was like, yeah, Sargent refused, like unprompted. Sargent refused to play in the FA Cup, which is the Open Cup, if you're unfamiliar with the FA Cup. He refused to play because his head's in his transfer. I was like, dang.
That's crazy.
You're saying that about a rostered player. I wouldn't expect him on that roster anymore.
No, they are brutal over there across the pond. So I actually really hope that gets done. I like seeing other MLS moves be ambitious. Even if it doesn't work, MLS isn't going to change the narrative about being a retirement league unless you start getting big money spent on big players. And I think that it kind of sucks because MLS as a whole has spent a lot of money on very young players, and then they send those guys overseas for even more money. And then you also get the players like Messi, Mueller, Son, who are obviously still awesome. They're doing great. They're just older, and they're obviously the faces of the league right now.
Who's the coach for Toronto again?
No idea, forgot.
Well, that's why I'm excited to see them getting rid of some contracts that were, I don't want to say dead weight.
Oh, is it Michael Bradley?
No.
Who's the coach?
Michael Bradley just got announced as the head coach of New Jersey Red Bulls.
Oh yeah, same thing. All in the East. They both wear red and white. Same thing.
No.
Yeah,
the
same
coach
thing
of
to me.
Toronto is RSL legend Robin Fraser. So that's why I'm excited to
Is he also bald?
I don't remember. I'll have to check my pictures.
If he is, then it's the same thing as Michael Bradley.
I mean, I don't know how to say this, but if you put them next to each other and couldn't tell them apart, it's time to go to the optometrist.
Oh,
Which
okay.
is the eye doctor before you ask.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask what that was, so that's very helpful. No, so RSL, there's not too much to talk about as far as our incoming moves right now. We have to wait and see what they have. It is still early in the window. I very much am not one to preach patience. Matty is the opposite of me, where he is okay preaching patience all day long. I struggle with it. I don't like patience. I like to see these guys here and now. And unfortunately, I mean, I'm sure everyone would like to get that. Oh, I just got confirmed he is bald. So that is the same thing to me. I haven't seen a picture, but the two bald guys coaching two red teams out on the East Coast that RSL rarely plays, I don't really know too much about either of them, other than sometimes I see that big money being thrown around. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Good for them. Wish RSL could do that. 18 million. Could you imagine 18 million on one player?
I couldn't imagine spending $18 million on a player who wouldn't stop vaping in the locker room. And
Did Sargent do that?
no, Sargent did it. That was if I say it, I'm going to get the wrong one. It was one of the Italian guys they brought in.
Oh, okay. I was like, Sargent did that? He's only like 24. He's ruining his career. He's going to ruin his lungs.
he's not vaping. He's got little kids to live for.
Sargent, he's married, right?
Best of my knowledge, yeah.
I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention about what's going on except from across the pond, except for when they are coming back here. So, again, would love to see some more signing from RSL, as would everyone. But the big dates.
This man is not bald.
That man is also not Michael Bradley. I can see why the confusion is
there.
there.
Can you see why I was confused that you were confused?
Yeah, that makes sense. Except if you just know me, then you should know that I don't actually know any of those names.
Did you forget the part where I said RSL legend? Like, I thought you'd at least know an RSL player. Like, if
when was he an RSL player?
If I talked about Javier Morales,
when I was 5,
you'd know who that was, right?
Javier Morales was an RSL player until I was 15, so at least like I would know that.
Do you picture Kyle Beckerman as bald?
No, but also again, he played until I was like in high school at least. A lot of these, like anybody that played before 2010 and they stopped playing after about 2010, it's hard for me to remember them. I was not old enough to really actually care about professional soccer and the players. And then after that, I mean, I guess I got old enough to care, especially since I remember the 2013 run as one of the best times in my life until it wasn't.
Robin was an assistant coach for RSL from 2007 through 2011.
Was he also the Colorado coach at one time?
Yes.
Okay. I remember him wearing the burgundy. Crazy how many RSL and Colorado guys just keep flip-flopping. We're basically the same club. Over under 3 years until Mihailovic is gone from, where's he at? He's in a Canadian club, right? Montreal?
Montreal is where I thought he went. I'd say under.
Yeah. He's going to be in RSL. He has to. No, you have to see someone. It's been a little bit too long since we've had a guy switch from Colorado to RSL, so we've got to see one coming pretty soon, even if it's not direct.
There's a guy on Colorado that I really like whose name I can't think of that I would rather take.
Maybe their
young midfielder. Is
Bassett?
it Cole Bassett? Yeah.
Oh,
I'll take him.
I would kill for Cole Bassett. Cole Bassett's awesome. One of my favorite players.
Who
I'm
or
not
what
saying
would
who
you
I'd kill.
Yeah.
I'm not saying who.
Like
maybe
an insect?
Well,
Mosquito?
maybe a mosquito, but I would love Cole Bassett. One of my favorite young players in the league. Really good. Great fantasy player, by the way, if you play fantasy soccer. Anyways, we're getting a little bit off track. That's just kind of because we don't have too much more to talk about because RSL hasn't done too much up to this point. Now, we will be back here in a couple weeks to talk about preseason, hopefully more signings. We will talk as we have more things to talk about. I don't think we missed anything, but we do have a terrific interview with Tom Bogert coming up that we pre-recorded. So make sure to take a listen to that. Make sure to give us a follow. Spotify, Apple really helps us if you spread the word about the podcast. We're just getting back into this season. We're going to be having some very exciting giveaways coming up. We have a fantastic sponsor that was from the beginning of this show, and they have committed to some things that you guys will really like, especially where RSL, they're not just dropping one jersey this offseason. There's a second one. And I
Should
think
we
that
say
listeners,
a third?
well, I think listeners might have an opportunity to get that for free. And giveaways that we do, they only have 100 people enter at most. You have a decent chance. I mean, other giveaways, if RSL's running the giveaway themselves, you're competing with hundreds, if not thousands, with us. It's not that bad, and I think we'll have to do a YouTube live stream one specifically, but we'll
I think
have
the
to see.
best way you can improve your odds even more would be to go to your friends' houses, log on to their YouTubes, like, subscribe, Royal Riot. Then you
Smart.
yeah. You get more entries that way.
This is like when I was in, just doing sales as one does, aka signing people up for my gambling apps, and I'm like, oh, do you have mommy's credit card around? So, that's basically the same thing. Just kidding. I never done that. Never would. Wouldn't be good. But anyways, thank you so much for giving us a listen, and we hope you enjoy this interview with Tom Bogert.
Peace.